Some celebrities are just way more fun to work with than others. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are 10 Hollywood celebrities no one wants to work with. Part 2. Number 10, Amber Heard. Now when it comes to hated celebrities, Amber Heard is at the tippy top of that list. While she may have slowed down in terms of work in recent years, she came out relatively unscathed from the whole public trial thing that I may get into later or I may not. While her counterpart Johnny suffered from some serious consequences, Amber is still technically working. A new trailer was just released for a film called In the Fire. I watched it, and as you can imagine, it is just very cringe-inducing, and every time she speaks, all I can hear is that courtroom drama. Now, if you don't know what happened, she made a ton of accusations against Johnny Depp and lost a court case, sort of, but won. It's a weird situation after most of the stories that she said were proven to be false. Now, she might still be acting, but considering the Aquaman 2 trailers that are coming out, it's looking like she might have been edited out of the movie, making her last film that weird fire one I just talked about. Number 9. Taylor Swift. Taylor has acted in a handful of films, most notably in the 2019 live-action Cats movie, which I try not to think about because it just makes me anxious. Taylor has of course been spending most of her time traveling the world with her Eras tour, asking everyone to cough up $2,000 a piece just to come check it out. Tour is going well, but there have been some complications. For starters, a fan passed away during one of her shows, and a lot more have complained about heat-related issues or overcrowding. However, the biggest reason Hollywood may never cast Taylor to actually be in a movie is because of her loyal fan base. Yes, I'm aware there is a theatrical version of the Eras tour out there and that it's sold out in like 13 seconds, but that's a concert being shown in a movie theater. That was a bad idea from the moment the editing process began. As someone who has served a movie theater filled with Super Bowl fans, putting any kind of live event on a screen, normally meant for Marvel movies, is not a great idea. For Taylor, it's like she mentions that she likes something and suddenly the fan base for that thing grows by 30%. Since the moment she was photographed with Travis Kelce, the NFL has just been flooded with Swifties attending games in hopes of catching a glimpse of Taylor Swift. Imagine if the rumors about Deadpool 3 are true. Taylor might be a villain in that movie. Do you know how terrible that theater experience will be? Harry Styles was in an end credit scene in a Marvel movie and everyone in my theater screamed. Marvel, please be careful. Number 8. Kim Kardashian. The last name Kardashian yields many privileges in life. Some are cool, like money and, well, everything that those people own and do. However, one thing that Kim recently should have springed for was acting classes. The first time Kim ever tried acting, apart from a naughty video and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, was in the 2008 parody movie Disaster Movie, where her character is literally written out of the movie because they were just so sick of her performance. When it was announced earlier this year that she would be participating in the latest season of American Horror Story, people were actually pretty excited. When the first episode premiered, the initial reaction was positive for about 2 days, and then the real reviews from actual American Horror Story fans started flooding the internet. Her role was terrible, her acting is terrible, the reviews are just terrible. She is being roasted online every other day for not just participating on the show, but for believing that she did a good job. Considering the anthology style, with each season of the show existing in its own world, something tells me that she will not be making a return to this series anytime soon. Number 7, Angelina Jolie. Angelina was once the most bankable actress in Hollywood, starring as the leading lady in movies like Laura Croft, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Salt. Now you would think with all of those films under her belt that more people would call her with big offers. However, that's just not the case. According to on-set sources, directors, all the people involved, she is a bit difficult to work with. She's known to get into debates with people about the way that things should go, with the director of Mr. and Mrs. Smith sharing one particularly rough story about her believing her way was the better way than anyone else's on set. The attitude is one thing, but there is the box office returns. For Angelina, movies just aren't as profitable as you might think. Her name used to bring in money for theaters, but at some point that just kind of slowed down. This might be why these days you will see her name in the director section of films more than anything else, with her most recent projects being the 2014 movie Unbroken and 2015's Unbreakable. Acting-wise, she was in Eternals in 2021, but that was a bad movie and she was barely in it, so let's not talk about that one. Number 6, movies. Johnny Depp, who can take a trial, win it with a breeze, get recasted in the movies, and for cameras just say cheese, it's the Depp man can. Sorry, I just watched Charlie and the Chocolate Factory the other night and it just really made me miss the original from 1971. Just needed to get that out of my system. Johnny was a popular man for a long time, leading the charge in movies like Blow, Sleepy Hollow, and Pirates of the Caribbean. In 2014, he was casted to play Garrett Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts franchise. People were stoked until a couple years later when a lawsuit was filed against him by his ex-wife Amber Heard, and she was claiming physical mistreatment, among other things. That is when the fun began. A settlement was agreed to outside of court then, and all was good until 2018 when Amber wrote an op-ed accusing Depp of truly heinous activities that were ranging from having too much no-no juice to doing a doo-doo in the bed. That was a real accusation that was set in court. The trial took place and Johnny's career was put on pause. He was recasted in Fantastic Beasts. Projects set to be produced with his name attached went onto a shelf, and the next 4 years of his life was dedicated to clearing his name. The trial was public and there's now a Netflix documentary about it that's just very difficult to watch. We didn't need all those TikTokers giving their 2 cents. Eventually he won the case, kinda. It's a whole thing. But that does not mean that his name is clear and that he is Hollywood's GOAT again. Instead, Johnny has been starring in lower budget indie movies or Oscar bait flicks like Jean du Barry. Number 5. Kristen Stewart. Of course, when Kristen got her start on the silver screen, fans were a little confused on how they should feel about her. In Twilight, she was cold and distant, and that was kinda how the world liked it. But then she was casted to be in other movies, and it became pretty clear that this was just her. For a long time, she was at the top of hate lists left and right, but by the time the final Twilight movie hit theaters, even they wanted her to just take a breath. For a long time, she was left out of the conversation when it came to casting, but in the last couple of years, Hollywood seems to have changed their minds. A once forgotten actor was given the chance to perform in movies like Underwater and the most recent Charlie's Angel film. Both of these movies have stellar reviews, with Underwater being praised as the example of her ability to act. It's a sci-fi thriller set at the bottom of the ocean. I won't spoil anything for you. If you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. Please go watch it. Number 4. Lindsay Lohan. There is not much explanation needed as to why Miss Lindsay Lohan is no longer welcome in the world of Hollywood. For a long time, and from a very young age, it was clear that Lindsay could not only act, but she was entertaining enough to headline her own movies. From her earliest role in The Parent Trap to her more cult classic roles like Freaky Friday and Mean Girls, her name meant guaranteed fans. That is until her downward spiral began and became public. She was arrested for driving under the influence and later checked into a rehab. Then she was arrested again a couple years later because she missed her mandatory court hearing. Hollywood stopped casting her in movies as her public image was just too tainted by 2015. So she decided to take the money that she had earned and invested it in nightclubs, and she became a music producer for her sister Allie and even released her own music. In 2021, she put some money up and was casted to be in a Christmas movie called Falling for Christmas that was pretty well received. I think a lot of people were just happy to see her on screen looking normal, like she looked fantastic, and her acting was not half bad either. There is a new Mean Girls movie heading to theaters soon, but it's not a sequel to the almost 20-year-old movie. It's a musical remake written by the original creator Tina Fey. So Lohan may not return for that film, but a Mean Girls Walmart ad really got the buzz going a few months ago, so you never know. Number 3, Alec Baldwin. It is no secret as to why Hollywood won't cast Alec in anything anymore. In 2021, he was rehearsing a scene for his new Western film Rust in New Mexico. As he was practicing with his prop firearm, it turned out to be filled with real ammo, and he accidentally ended the life of a cinematographer named Helena Hutchins. Baldwin and the woman in charge of the prop, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, were charged in 2023. A few months later, the prosecutors announced that they were dropping the case, but in October, they revealed that the investigation yielded new evidence and he was going to be recharged sometime soon. While all this goes down, Alec is not working and is instead focusing on his legal issues. But that didn't stop him from dropping by Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks ago for a fun little cameo. Number 2, John Travolta. Tom Cruise is not the only famous celebrity to be involved in some weird science. Grease alumni Danny Zuko John Travolta is also a man who just loves to read. In fact, if you ask him about why he's involved with the church, he'll just tell you, read a book. That's it. No explanation on what is in that book or which one to read, just go read one. John is well known to have confirmed his involvement with the crew, but there is specifically one really unsettling thing about his involvement. It's just like, John seems to be a pretty chill guy, right? He's not known for violence or mischief, and he carries himself pretty well in public. But as I said, every time someone asks him about what it means, he tells people to educate themselves and to read a book. I found a compilation of 5 celebrities all giving the exact same answer when someone asks this question, because there is no straight answer on what it is, what it means, or where to, just anything. Everyone just says go to your local library and figure it out. Well, that is sus. Whether it's his heavy involvement in the community or just his overall vibe, John has not been in anything new since Kevin Hart's last solo action movie. Number 1, Hulk Hogan. Taking the top spot on our list is a long-forgotten Hollywood giant taken down by his own stubborn views. Hulk Hogan dominated the 80s and 90s, not just in the world of wrestling, but in the action movie world as well. Rocky III, Suburban Commando, and the one that brought back weird childhood memories, Mr. Nanny. It seemed like he was just a larger-than-life wrestling superstar that wanted to branch into film, something that people like The Rock and John Cena have done pretty well. His career was brought to a screeching halt, though, when a tape of him making love was released into the world, ruining the childhoods of any fans picking up that VHS tape. He also had some pretty rough views on anyone from any other race who, he just won't get into that. To top it all off, in the 90s, the action movie landscape was changing and people wanted actual action stars like Jackie Chan and not fakers like Hulk Hogan. And those were celebrities that people just don't want to work with. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below and follow our channel for more celebrity content each and every day. Thanks for stopping by on the channel, and we'll see you next time.